Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me and for letting me share with you so many things that I have learned about eating fermented and cultured foods throughout my life. It's been 20 years that I've been eating these foods. And I just realized that yesterday. And I was like, oh my, I didn't realize it has been that long. But it's such a part of my life. And it has made such a difference. And guys, it continues to make a difference. It's not just something I do because it makes me feel better. No, it really, really works. Just the other day, I felt like I was going to get a cold or something. And I kind of started to feel like my throat was sore and stuff. So all I did was I went in and I upped my cultured vegetables. I went in and I had them several times throughout the day instead of just once. I had an extra kombucha, and I remember I had kefir for dinner because I wasn't very hungry. And by the time nighttime rolled around, okay, I had dinner. It was 6 or 6:30, and then by the time it was like 10 o'clock, I felt great, and I was running around doing extra stuff. And all day I'd felt off, and I had that's what I call the trilogy: kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables, and I just upped it. And by the next day, I felt completely fine. It was like my body was fighting something, and then it decided to overcome whatever was trying to make me feel bad, and it worked. And so I continue to use these foods throughout my life. Even to this day, after 20 years, they work like medicine for me. I use them like that because I know when I need extra help, I just reach for them. And I want to talk to you today about getting wisdom from learning about these things from your cultured vegetables, your kefir, kombucha, mostly cultured vegetables today we're going to talk about. I want you to understand why they're so important to me, why I've continued to eat them after 20 years, and why, right now I have, 6 different jars of cultured vegetables in my fridge, partly because I make them for my blog and stuff, but also because I enjoy the variety. I just made a batch of raspberry kraut about 8 or 9 days ago, and I did that for my Valentine blog where I have an ebook that comes out with extra recipes, and I'm loving that. I have all these different types of cultured vegetables in my fridge because I love the variety. I stick a spoonful on a lot of my lunches and dinners, and sometimes I just eat it throughout the day when I need a boost because there's so much vitamin C in cultured vegetables. Okay, so if you have cabbage, and I'll probably repeat this during the blog, but let's say you take raw cabbage, it has about 70 milligrams of vitamin C in it. When you ferment it skyrockets to 700 milligrams of vitamin C. And that doesn't include how many extra B vitamins you get because the B vitamins go dramatically up too. So whenever you're feeling bad, a spoonful of cultured vegetables is like getting a vitamin C tablet. And I know that because I've done it for 20 years. And I know it has made such a difference in my life and my family's life. And it does more than give you vitamin C. It helps calm your stomach down. Let's get into it. Let me get into this podcast so I can explain to you all the wonderful things that you gain from eating cultured vegetables and especially fermenting them yourself. And I want to share with you because it's just a fabulous thing that will last for 9 or 10 months in your fridge and will help you. And you'll have it in there to reach for it whenever you need it. So many people write to me and ask me how they can encourage friends and family to eat these foods. And like you, I notice how sick some of our loved ones are. And I want to help them, but they don't always want to listen to me. And especially to me, like in some of my extended family, they just think this can't be true. And yet it does work for them. But it's hard to understand it unless you've lived it and done it and tried it. So one of the things that has happened to me many, many times, and I finally discovered that words don't teach, but life experience is the best teacher of all. And that includes everybody who's listening to this podcast. You can hear me say this stuff and tell you all about it. And for many, many years, people thought I was crazy for eating and making these foods. And there wasn't a lot of people doing it when I started 20 years ago. But I couldn't believe what was happening to myself and to my family. because I had gone from hoping this would work to believing to knowing. And that strong knowing that it worked because I'd seen it happen so many, many, many times convinced me that these foods are powerful medicine. And I just didn't want to go without them. They would heal and make people well, and especially in my own family. And that was the beginning for me, was watching how often these foods were used in my family to help with all kinds of things like food poisoning, stomach bugs, viruses, infections. All of this stuff boosted all of our immune system in such a powerful way that I double dog dare you to try to prove me wrong. It's just not going to happen. I know it too much now. I've lived it. And I just kind of gave up trying to convince people that were kind of on the edge. And now I just let my own life teach as an example. Because honestly, I just barely get sick anymore. And once I did this, the people who are ready to hear my message found me. Once I stopped trying to convince people who wanted the information came to me and they were ready to hear it. So don't try to convince your friends and family. Just consume them yourself. And these foods will make such a difference in you. Your light will shine so brightly, it'll make them want to know what's happened to you. And then you, like me, will stop being afraid of sickness and disease, and you'll know wellness so clearly that nothing can shake you, that you have powerful things that can help you, and you'll understand that your body does want to be well. And you'll experience the magnificence of how your body handles different sicknesses and diseases in extraordinary ways. And you will stick out like a sore thumb, and those who need your help will ask for it. I have a wonderful page called Lives Touched, and it's on culturedfoodlife.com. And there's a little button at the top that says Lives Touched Testimonies. And I get people sending in these testimonies all the time about all the things that Cultured Foods have helped them with. And if you need some encouragement, head on over there because we have so many. One of my favorite quotes, it was by Benjamin Franklin, I believe. And he said, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And until you're ready and need these foods and are looking for the answers for wellness, most people won't listen." So that is my advice to you, is to do it yourself and watch and see how many people flock to you when you begin to experience the wellness that you so rightly deserve. Good bacteria acts as microscopic bouncers for your bowels, letting in desirable nutrients and slamming the door on dangerous viruses and killer bugs. And without bacteria, you couldn't even digest your food. Digestion is only part of what these high achievers accomplish. They also help power 70% of our body's immune system. This is why I love these crazy little bacteria so much. The bottom line is that we would be dead without bacteria and their special abilities to keep us healthy every day. And your trillions of good bacteria that compromise your body spend their days destroying some of your harmful cousins that are bad bacteria. But they also do something else that I think is cool. They pick through undigested food and micromanage your calories and make some vitamins and essential nutrients for you. But that's not all they do. So what exactly is going on inside of you that can determine whether you get sick or not? Your body is designed to fight pathogens and viruses. And a virus is wandering around looking for a human host to infect. And when it finds one, your body has special helpers designed to seek and destroy this invader. Now, the superstar bacteria in cultured vegetables is called Lactobacillus plantarum, and it is really, really strong, good bacteria. It's hardy. It survives stomach acids with ease because a lot of bacteria gets killed in your stomach acids. And it can make the full trip from your mouth to your intestines to the colon and colonize you in a very powerful way. And L. plantarum is a welcome guest that works mightily for you by fiercely attacking that bad bacteria in your body. And it will strengthen your good bacteria by killing the bad guys. So then the good bacteria becomes dominant, and then you are on your way to help that bacteria to grow stronger and become more resistant to future invasions of pathogens. Now, here's something really important. It's important to note that this is a transient bacteria, which means It only lasts a few days in the body, so it's important to consume this type of bacteria often because it doesn't last in the body. So these good bacteria that you have in your gut influence the strength of your immune system by increasing the number of T cells. And there are two kinds of T cells, killer and helper. Killer T cells find and destroy infected cells that have been turned into a virus-making community. And helper T cells don't fight invaders. Instead, they are like a military intelligence system. And when a helper T cell sends out a chemical message, it is matched by a killer T cell, and it's alerted that a virus is present and it seeks to destroy it. Having lots and lots of good bacteria in the gut increases T cell production and keeps communication among all of the cells functioning at a really high level. And signals from these beneficial microbes are so essential to keeping the immune system strong so it can seek and destroy a virus or an infection. So many people have been on antibiotics which kill the good and the bad bacteria, but they never went ahead and built up the good bacteria again after they've taken these antibiotics. So they have less good bacteria to fight these pathogens. Now, this is a really interesting thing that the researchers from the Korean Food Institute and the World Institute of Kimchi had to say about cultured vegetables. And I have the references for this. I'll link to the article where you can look at this if you want to look at the references. Lactic acid bacteria and fermentation metabolites in fermentation inhibit the growth of influenza virus. Lactobacillus plantarum, which is produced in large quantities during the fermentation of kimchi or cultured vegetables, are thought to hinder the growth of influenza virus. We concluded that the bioactive components from lactic acid bacteria produced by fermentation serve as antiviral agents. Now, I have seen that in my life. And there is even a lot of documentation about how it fights all different types of viruses. And I'm going to link all of those articles and research down below so you can check it out if you want to see it, because right now that's the buzzword right now. And there's a lot of research that's saying, even from the World Health Organization, that these cultured vegetables have special bacteria that really help with any kind of virus. It's really interesting. Now, fermentation for thousands of years has been around. It was what made their food safe. There was a way they stored their serves and preserved it. And the good microbes in cultured foods become so strong and so dominant that they keep pathogens and harmful bacteria out of the jar that you're fermenting it in. So what happens is when you ferment a vegetable and you submerge the vegetables under water and Lactobacillus plantarum becomes abundant in there, it just crowds out harmful bacteria. And it's how people used to protect themselves before refrigeration and made their food safe. They would often bury their vegetables in the ground to keep them cool and preserve the probiotics. Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture research specialist microbiologist Fred Bright says, properly fermented vegetables are actually safer than raw vegetables, which may have been exposed to pathogens like E. coli on the farm. He also goes on to say, with fermentation products, there is no safety concern. I can flat out say that. The reason is the lactic acid bacteria that carries out the fermentation are the world's best killers of other bacteria, says Bright. And he works at the North Carolina State University in Raleigh, where scientists have been studying fermented and pickled foods since 1930. Bright also adds that fermented vegetables for which there are no documented cases of foodborne illnesses are safer for novices to make than even canned vegetables. Pressurized canning creates an anaerobic environment that increases the risk of deadly botulism, particularly with low-acid foods. And how this works is when you heat vegetables to can them, all the bacteria die except the only one that can survive is botulism. So in rare cases, when all the other bacteria are gone, botulism could thrive, but it has to be in like a canned or anaerobic environment. So, and that doesn't happen with cultured vegetables. First of all, you have lots of other good bacteria to keep them safe, so botulism can never get a foothold, and you're not canning them and getting rid of the air, and so that's not happening. So it's very, very safe to make and eat these foods. And a lot of people are worried about it, but actually they're safer than raw vegetables according to the U.S. Agricultural Society, which is pretty cool. So anyway, it also does something else that I love. I love this. One of my favorite things that Cultured Veggies does, well, one of my many favorite things, is that it removes pesticides. It's so exciting that microbes can help us remove pesticides from our vegetables. And it's really can be a hardship for a lot of people to buy organic, but the healthy bacteria and Lactobacillus plantarum can remedy this. It helps remove pesticides from non-organic vegetables and also from organic vegetables if there's any on them. And it has special bacteria strains studied from fermented vegetables and things like kimchi and krauts. And they found they were able to degrade 4 different phosphorus insecticides by using them as a source of carbon and phosphorus. So I think that the thing was that it took about, I think it was 7 to 8 days, and then all the pesticides and chemicals were removed, is what the fermentation, which is about, I tell people to ferment the vegetables 6 to 7 days, and 99.9% of all the pesticides and chemicals have been removed. And I have the research for that, which is pretty cool. So you really need to have a jar of cultured vegetables in your fridge. And I have this recipe that I call Wisdom Kraut, and I love it. And most people think, these are just vegetables, but this jar holds all kinds of wisdom in it. There are, things that you find not only in cultured vegetables that, like, for instance, load you with vitamin C, minerals, probiotics galore, but they remove the pesticides. They help your stomach and body to heal, fight viruses, fight pathogens, and the pesticides get removed even if you don't use organic, which is super cool. And now they're even finding that if they can help prevent cancers. And I have a whole article on that that's so fascinating that I will link that below. And I think I have a podcast on it too. And you really can't ask for anything more than that. I mean, these are just things I use all the time. Anytime anybody has any kind of stomach upset, any kind of, gurgling their stomach, everybody goes in my house and reaches for a spoonful of either the juice or the veggies. And within 20 minutes to an hour, it's gone. And I just have so many examples of this on my Lives Touched page, from testimonies and from my own life of 20 years, that it's just a fact in my house. Learning all of these things about cultured vegetables, and there's so much more that I haven't even shared with you, has really helped me. They are wise. They were, these special fermented foods, I believe, were here to help us. The process of fermentation dates back so many centuries back. It's just incredible how they've been around for, almost since time began. They have special powers that go far beyond regular vegetables, and I love them because you don't even need to eat a lot of them. And in special times of need, they can be a powerful food like medicine. And so I always have so many jars in my refrigerator. And I encourage you to do that as well, because there will come a time when you will need your help. You will need their help. And like me, you'll be so thankful that you made some and have them in your fridge, where they last for like 9 months. So then you'll be convinced of their special abilities, and you won't have to take my word for it anymore. You'll know. And that's what's most important, is that you know. Not that I know, but that you know. Everybody knows, everybody on the planet knows vegetables are good for you. But cultured vegetables go way beyond regular vegetables through the process of fermentation. So you want a jar in your fridge, and I promise you won't regret it. And if you are reading my blogs or listening to my podcasts, then you know the old saying that goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And my belief is that all the forces in the world are not so powerful as wisdom that has been discovered by somebody who needs it. And I hope that person is you, because it has made all the difference in my life. And I hope one day it will do that for you too. Be a light, make some cultured vegetables, help yourself, help your family, and watch what a difference they can make in their life. They're the best. I love them. And check out my Wisdom Kraut recipe. It's the bomb. You'll love it. And I have a lot of other recipes too. So I'll put all those links below. And thank you guys for listening. And I hope this can make a difference in your life.